By far the most exciting and impactful move around the trade deadline was Christian McCaffrey being traded from the Carolina Panthers to the San Francisco 49ers. And with a trade that involves this amount of draft capital and also involves a player of his caliber, a lot of people are going to have opinions on it because people are polarized by CMC and this move by the Niners because pretty much everyone agrees it'll be a positive if he stays healthy, which seems obvious, but I don't like that take because I hate talking about a player in a way where you assume they're going to be hurt. Not only does it just feel like bad juju to even say, but it's also just not a known. So that's not what we're going to be talking about. I went out this week and watched some Carolina games, a few 49er games from earlier this year, and obviously we all got to see CMC with the 49ers in action for the first time, and I'm here to tell you that this move is way more impactful than you could even imagine. And obviously with just 2 days to prepare CMC for the game, his snaps were limited and very vanilla overall for a super complicated and word-heavy Kyle Shanahan offense. So before we get into the film, let me give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. In physics, there are two types of energy, kinetic and potential. And not only did we get to see a glimpse of how electrifying he can look in this offense, aka kinetic, but there were so many snaps that look like nothing plays, but with a careful eye, there is so much potential energy with this team that I think can explode when he's able to be a full participant in the game plan. The options are unlimited with what you can do when you have CMC, Debo, and Kyle Juszczyk who can all run the ball, block, and go out for routes, and George Kittle, who is the best two-way tight end we have in the game. And in today's video, we're going to explore what this offense can and will look like in the very near future. But if you happen to tune out for the last minute or so because I said I wasn't concerned about injuries or health status, we're also briefly going to touch on how I think they're going to be able to use him in ways to keep him healthy or at least reduce risk of him being injured and how they can use his threat of his talents to their offense's advantage. There's obviously a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. I'll try to keep this to a minute or two because I know the bulk of this video is going to be talking about him in the 49ers offense, but after watching some Carolina's games, I wanted to show you some plays I took from just one game to show you what I'm talking about and the new life he's going to be living in the Bay. Because so often when he got the ball, there was just simply nowhere to go. Free runners coming in left and right, no hole to be seen, and rarely able to get to the second level without slowing down or making someone miss. This is important for a few reasons. The first one has to be with stats and how yards per carry can be very deceiving when you look at running backs with nowhere to go, but also health-wise. If you're consistently not getting to the second or third level, these are all hits being taken by 300-plus pound men instead of 230-pound linebackers or 190-pound corners and safeties. You're also getting tackled and rolled up on around a ton of people. So not only do we not get to witness his explosiveness in the open field where he's at his best going full speed, but when you get 20 carries and 15 of them are being hit by the biggest and strongest players on the defense, it's concerning. But we still do get to see him when he gets good blocking or finds his way into the open field. It looks like CMC from 3 years ago. All the explosiveness, all of the moves are still there. And when the 49ers have had so much success with late round running backs who have 4.4 or 4.3 speed because they can explode through the holes, McCaffrey can give you that. But he also gives you a lot more, but more on that later. Let's look at some 49ers plays from one game, and actually against the Panthers. So many times these running backs are able to run through holes untouched. And of course, they're very good running backs, and it's going to be great a 1-2-3 punch with CMC added. And of course, these are just a few specific plays, and they have runs for no game. But we also see that, and we also see CMC get good blocking like this at times. But the frequency they occur is much less and much more often, respectfully, with this 49ers team. But let's finally get into the game where we got to see him play. But first, let's talk about the potential of this offense. We'll show you a little bit later what Christian McCaffrey did in this game, but we all saw it, and I'm sure you saw a lot of people talk about what he did. I want to show you what this offense could look like. And if you're wondering why didn't it in the game, well, he only had a day and a half to prepare for this, so his snaps were limited, and he only had so many plays, and they'll continue to gel and get more connection and be more involved in the game plan as things continue. But let's start with this play here. And we're starting with this play here because we have the 4 guys on the field that we talked about earlier that are going to give defense headaches on what personnel they need to be in. We have Deebo Samuel, who can run and catch the ball. Kyle Juszczyk, who can run and catch the ball. George Kittle, who's one of the best receiving and run blocking tight ends. Christian McCaffrey here in the backfield, who can run and go out for the pass. So if you just look at the formation, is this a really, really run-heavy formation or a pass-heavy formation where they're going to go 5 out and use scat protection? And that's something we don't know, something the defense definitely doesn't know, and something that Kyle Shanahan is going to have to use to an advantage, always mixing it up to keep the defense on their toes. But now let's get into the play because we do see some things that the 49ers like to do. We're going to have Kyle Juszczyk. He's going to go in this orbit motion and stay out here. Christian McCaffrey is going to get the play action and swing out to the bottom of your screen. Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers love to use all 53 1/3 yards to open up the middle of the field, which is Jimmy G's bread and butter. And this is where the play design is beautiful, but it's really going to be on Jimmy to execute and know where to go to the football. So I'm going to pause this at the top of this drop. We see the jet motion, we see Christian McCaffrey, and right here, we're going to pause it. Because when you have a 1st and 10, you really are balanced if you're going to run or pass it. And when you catch the defense in the zone, you're just looking for positive yards. And there are 3 beautiful, viable options on this play. I think you could swing it out to Kyle Juszczyk. You have him one-on-one with this zone corner at the top of your screen. Where I think this play might have been designed to go is Brandon Ayuk coming across the middle of the field. I think this is where Jimmy should go with the ball. But now you have a weapon like Christian McCaffrey who is so elusive and so great in open space. This is also a great option. If this linebacker somehow is in better position and this is locked up, this should be the check down 10 times out of 10 because you just want him to get the ball in open space. But for some reason, Jimmy G ends up going here. It's an incomplete pass. So this is why I think there's a lot of nothing plays that happened in this game. But the potential for what this play was is you have 3 viable options in a run-heavy set, in a pass-heavy set, where you have 3 plays that could pick up 5 yards, a 1st down, or Christian McCaffrey in open space can always go out and hit his head on the goalpost. Unfortunately, that's not what ended up happening, but we do see the potential of the offense of a play like this. But moving on to this next play, again, we have the same 4 guys on the field, the same threat. Is it a heavy run? Is it a heavy pass? But this time, CMC is going to motion into the slot, going 5 wide, but all he's doing on this play is clearing out because what they want here is they either want Deebo Samuel on this long slant across the field. Brandon Ayuk initially clears out the slant for Deebo Samuel, but then is going to work his way back to the inside. So really, they're going 1, 2, Christian McCaffrey is just clearing out. And this is what I meant when I said earlier, using the ability or the threat of CMC's talent to take hits off his body, to not get hit, but still be a positive for the offense. But I'm going to pause it here when we see how this linebacker is covering him, right about here. So they got exactly what they wanted on this play. They have Deebo Samuel one-on-one with this corner who's playing really good coverage. So they might go back to the number 2, which they do on this play, Brandon Ayuk, who's going to be trailing as they got this linebacker, but just opening up the middle of the field. But I really want to focus how this linebacker is playing him. Because he's not just zone dropping and getting depth, because he knows he has help over the top and he knows he has help on the inside as well. So he's really fully bracketing CMC just in case he decides to do an outbreaking route, he'll be in good position. And if you're wondering why we just spent so much time on a play that ultimately ends up being an incompletion, let me show you why. Because in the next quarter, Kyle Shanahan got information from that last play, how they're going to play CMC and how they're going to cover him when they go 5 wide. So this time, they're going to motion CMC to the slot again, the same side as Kyle Juszczyk. They know this guy's going to drop back. They're going to go into a 2 high. And once again, have a very similar concept where CMC is just clearing out. But we're really going to focus in on this guy because on the last play, we saw how he guarded CMC. He completely bracketed him. He walled him off to the inside, being ready for the outbreaking route. And so when all the action was on the same side as CMC, what they know is if this safety is going to drop in, Kyle Shanahan wants to get his matchup. And here again, we have George Kittle. They know this linebacker is going to have to bump out on him. And he is going to be no help to this linebacker because he's not going to have eyes. All of his eyes are going to be on CMC. And so when this 49ers offense is all about spreading out the field, about opening up the middle of the field, he adds so much to this offense. So again, let's pause it right here where we're going to see the linebacker completely walled off. They got the matchup they wanted with Kittle in the middle of the field working on the linebacker. They get a completion this time on a huge 2nd and 10. And this is why I can't wait for Shanahan to continue to have CMC in the lineup, and they have more weeks. He gets to go in the film room, see how teams are going to be covering him, and being able to create mismatches all over the field, because Kittle, Debo, and CMC are all guys that if they make one person miss, they can go 80 yards and hit their head on the goalpost. And we've said over and over that there's 4 guys on the field that are all dual threat, and on this play, they're all involved. So right now we have CMC in the backfield, Juszczyk in the backfield. Either of these guys can take a handoff. They can both go out for routes, and Debo Samuel on this play is going to come across in jet motion. All 3 of these guys could be handed the ball. And the defense knows this, and they have to respect this. So as Debo comes across, CMC is going to get this play action. But this is just all eye candy. Watch how hard the defense bites at the threat of Debo, at the threat of CMC, which leaves Brandon Ayuk wide open over the middle of the field. And with just a day and a half, I can't believe they already implemented some of this stuff. And the last play that we're going to look at with the potential and the potential energy of this offense that gets ruined by a beautifully designed blitz by the Chiefs. They're going to use this edge defender to occupy the tackle and send a really well-timed blitz off the right side of the field. But CMC is going to orbit motion, and I think if they block this up well, this is always going to be an option to throw to. And again, if Jimmy G has a little bit more time just with their route concepts, they're going to get Brandon Ayuk wide open in the middle of the field. So credit for the Chiefs for designing a beautiful blitz, but again, this is always going to be an option for them. If Jimmy G has a little bit more time, we see CMC at the top of your screen, one-on-one with a corner. And if you have to make a bet, I like CMC making one guy miss, and we see Brandon Ayuk over the middle of the field with that huge window that is just about to open up if he gets half a second longer. It ends up being a sack, but again, potential. Let's talk Kinetic. So that was a lot of what CMC and this 49ers offense could look like moving forward, but let's see what they actually did. And the fact that he already had the knowledge to be able to call 2 plays, can one, but he's already getting some of the biggest holes that he's ever had. And with this 49ers offense, their offensive line and this run game and the run schemes, he's getting some of the biggest holes that he's seen in years, and they're happening on a consistent basis. Going right up in the middle and not getting touched till the second or third level, and they're finding ways to get him out in open space. And yep, he still has it. He's elusive, he's evasive, he's explosive as he ever has been. And with some of the things that we've talked about, they're going to be able to find ways to reduce the risk of his injury. And this running scheme is so amazing for a lot of levels because they're giving defensives looks that they just never see. So we have an overload to the line on this side. They have Kyle Juszczyk coming across, and every team runs this where they have the fullback come across the formation. They come up and take the play side backer. But what they're going to do on this play is a wrinkle that not a lot of teams see. They're going to take Juszczyk. He's going to come through the hole, but they're going to actually replace this. He's going to come through, and he's going to take the corner. And Brandon Ayuk, who's right here, we don't see him on the screen. He's going to come on the inside, take this play side backer, get right into his ribs, and completely blindside block him. And now we have Brandon Ayuk with the advantage because this linebacker never sees it coming. And then you have your fullback on a corner. This stuff is just beautiful. Not a lot of teams run it. The Ravens and the 49ers have the most advanced running blocking schemes that I've seen in the league, and it leads to plays like this. Brandon Ayuk right here coming in. Linebacker doesn't see him for a single second. Now we have Juszczyk on a linebacker. Brandon Ayuk puts him on his butt, but now we have a hole like this. CMC has the 49ers system where you can just be 4-3 and explode through the hole, not getting touched to the second or third level. This play was beautiful, and expect to see a lot more of it. So was this game perfect? Definitely not. But a lot of that has to do with the Chiefs offense that just looked nearly unstoppable against the 49ers, who had the best defense in the league going into this game. But I really wanted to highlight how big of a trade this was for the 49ers because of the potential of what this team could look like moving forward. And I think very well soon could, because they already implemented so many things in a day and a half. I didn't even know if he'd play in this game or have anything more than a few simple plays in the red zone. He got in a lot of snaps, and they already made some adjustments, like we saw how they're going to be playing him in the middle of the game, which I think is going to be a big part of reducing injury for CMC moving forward. I think this trade was amazing, and even though they gave away a ton of draft capital, they know their championship window is right now, and Christian McCaffrey is someone at the running back position that can move the needle for this team and just be another dual threat person, which they love to have on the field at any given moment. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like this video if you like videos like these. Make sure to comment down below what you think about this trade. And if this video showed you any of the potential and changed your mind in any sort of way, let me know down in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy daily sports content. I appreciate y'all so much for checking out the channel. That's all I have for you today. But as always, I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.